Hiya BookTube, Bill Ruttenberg here at the Ruttenberg Library. Come to you this afternoon with another book tag. This is the Big Books book tag. It was originally done by One Book, One Review, and I'll leave the link to that video down in the description. It's a pretty easy tag to do. It's only got 2 questions. Probably won't take me very long. And so let's go ahead and get started. So the first question is, what are the 5 biggest books that you have read that are on your shelves? And so I picked out 5 of the biggest ones I could find. I do have one that is going to surpass all 5 of these, but I am not done with that. And hopefully I'll finish that sometime in the next month or 2. I hope to get back to it. But anyway, so let's go ahead and I'll show you the books that I pulled off the shelf. This particular volume is 1,088 pages. This is Paul Johnson's A History of the American People. Now, I really liked this book when I read it. It's a conservative point of view. Paul Johnson went through the history of the United States from a conservative point of view. I really liked it. I thought it was a real good book, and it was actually a pretty fast read altogether. So the next book on my top 5 biggest books that I could at least find anyway. This one is by H.W. Brands. It's T.R., The Last Romantic. And this book weighs in at 897 pages, and it's a big old chunky one. It's on Teddy Roosevelt, biography on him, and if you've ever read or excuse me, listened to any of the stuff online by H.W. Brands, he at one time wanted to write a history of the United States, and the publishers all told him, you can't really do that. Nobody's going to buy it. And so that idea stuck in Brands' head, stuck in his mind. And so he still ended up doing it, but he attacked it from another angle. And he did a set of biographies that are all pretty big biographies, and he covered the span of American history, U.S. history, through the biography, through the lives of these guys. So he did one on, Teddy Roosevelt. He did one on Benjamin Franklin. He had a whole series of them that he did, and they're all really good. I've read most of them, and I've thoroughly enjoyed them. So there's another chunker. All right, here's one. This is by my uncle, Verl Salmon, and it's Common Men and the War for the Common Man, the Civil War of the United States of America, History of the 145th Pennsylvania Volunteers from Organization through Gettysburg. And this was a really good book. My uncle was superintendent of schools up in Northwest Pennsylvania, and he's been a long time Civil War buff. Goes to a lot of reenactments and all that kind of stuff. Has done a lot of research, and so he started this history of the 145th Pennsylvania. It runs at 810 pages in this first volume, and there's a second volume that's coming out. And this, Dr. Verl Salmon grew up hearing stories of his ancestor, First Sergeant George Washington Salmon, who fought in the American Civil War. A teacher, a school district administrator, and farmer, Common Men is the culmination of 30 years of his research, which carried him from archives to attics to retracing the journey of the 145th Regiment of Pennsylvania Volunteer Infantry, from stifling marches to camp life to explosive fields of battle. He's married with 4 children and a growing number of grandchildren. Salmon maintains his ties to the soil, as did most of the young recruits who responded to Lincoln's call for troops. So he's still got the family farm back in Pennsylvania. He lives up near Erie. But anyway, great book. And like I said, I look forward to getting the second volume of that. Now, the next 2 to round out the top 5 are by the same author, and many of you are familiar with him. He's won the Pulitzer Prize, and that's Ron Chernow. And so here's Washington, A Life. And Chernow's written several others that are really big. These are the 2 that I got that I thought were really good. And Washington, A Life runs at 904 pages. I thoroughly enjoyed this, thought it was really good. And then his book, Alexander Hamilton, which is also very good. And of course, they made the play off of that, off of this book and off of his research. And it runs at 818 pages. So both of them very, very good books. Now, the second question in the tag was, what are the two biggest books that you haven't read on your shelf? And I think it was hinting at, you know, they're so big, they're kind of intimidating, and you just haven't got to them. So I picked out a couple of them. Here's one. It's George Washington's Sacred Fire by Peter A. Lillibach. And it's kind of a chunky monkey. And it runs at, let's see here. Let me get to the end here. It runs at 1,179 pages. Haven't got to that yet. And when you look at it, actually, it probably reads a lot faster than it looks. I just haven't got to it yet. I haven't tackled it. It scares me sometimes just because when you look at the cover, it's like, wow, that thing's huge. And then the other one, and this is it's not a newer book, but a newer. I picked it up not that long ago. It's Hearts Touched by Fire, the best of battles and leaders of the Civil War. And it's edited with an introduction by Harold Holzer, with contributions by James McPherson, James Robertson, Stephen Sears, Craig Simmons, and Joan Waugh. So a whole series of really good authors. But this is that book right there. And as you will see, it is very chunky. And it runs to 1,227 pages. So that is an intimidating book. So anyway, those are my picks for the Big Books book tag. And I challenge anybody out there to do this book tag. It's kind of a fun one when you get to looking through your shelves and looking at the big beasts that are sitting on your shelves. So if you haven't done this yet, I encourage you to, and I tag you if you haven't done it. And so until next time, BookTube, have a great day.